What is up, YouTube? I'm saying hi to you today from my art studio, and today I am wanting to talk to you about ego death. In the world of psychology, Sigmund Freud introduced the idea of this human psyche. What is psyche exactly? Psyche is the totality of the human mind, both unconscious and conscious. So the psyche schema that Sigmund Freud introduced is made up of three components: the ego, the self, the superego, and the id. So the id is basically our intrinsic desires and our base natural instincts, versus the superego, which is all of your morals, your ethics, stuff that will allow you to function within society, so you're not just acting on the basic instincts. And then yourself is the mediator between the two, so that's who you consider yourself. And ego death is basically when you realize and recognize that yourself is not actually who you are. In this video, I will tell you how exactly you kill your ego, why you don't need to subscribe to your ego, and how I personally have killed my ego several times, and you can too. I would recommend you to kill your ego if you want to transcend your current limitations as a human being and you want to go more towards your fully actualized self and pursue your actual internal happiness. The only way to do that is really by killing your ego and who others and yourself expect you to be. By the way, this is my new artwork that I'm working on. I bought a large canvas sheet, put it against the wall, and I've been using charcoal on it so far, but I do plan on using other mediums for it, so you guys will be able to check that out on my other socials such as Instagram and TikTok. Also check out my Twitter. I post out banger tweets all the time. Lastly, check out my website. I got some amazing products on there for you guys. Let me get one of them right now. This is one of my latest products. I ordered this for myself as a sample. It looks green, but it's supposed to be black and white, so this is a manufacturer defect. I'm going to keep it though. It reminds me of a shiny Pokemon, which is basically just a really rare Pokemon. That is how I'm considering this defect. That's what helps me feel better about it. Anyways, understanding the id, ego, and the superego. How I described earlier, the id is our instinct and our natural base desires for what we want out of the world, and our superego is our societal expectations and conditions that are placed on us to keep us from running rampant. And then the ego is basically the medium or the balancer between these two. It is your sense of self, your idea of what you want to subscribe to, whether you want to act out on an impulse or whether you want to hold that impulse back because of the expectations that are given to you and that you want to hold yourself to. But sometimes some things happen in your life to where who you thought you were doesn't exactly align with who you want to be. This happens as you grow up and you develop as a human being. You'll start picking up nuggets of information here and there, which will make you start thinking in different ways, and you will start broadening your worldview and world concept as you start taking more concepts and different variations of how the world actually is. In my case, I'm a first generation immigrant from Mexico, so that was very tough. Going to school, I didn't know English. We were very poor, so I never fit in with nobody. I never had the latest fashions. I was just kind of doing my own thing in the world, and from how I saw society at that point, I would go places and I would always see other people driving nice cars, buying nice things, and I wanted that for myself, but I only saw what was around me, so I assumed that the way to do it and the way to live life was through getting a salary job, getting a family, typical American fantasy dream. I grew up and didn't go to college, but I found my way into the tech world. I became a devourer of knowledge and I started self-studying a lot. I went to the library on the daily from open till close. I would stay up late at night reading books and studying on my computer and trying to code and doing all kinds of stuff, building a website, working on my portfolio. If you guys are interested in becoming a data analyst, I actually have have a free roadmap that you can use. You can check it out in the links below. I did all of this because I thought being a data analyst and getting a career job was the way to go and the way to do life. And it is for many people. Once I got the data analytics job though, I wasn't happy. I felt like something was lacking from within me. And this sort of emptiness within me forced me to start researching about myself. I did a lot of research both on the outside world and on the internal world. I had gone through an ego death before related to several other things. This ego death was mostly in regards to who I thought I should be and my expectations on myself as a salary person. Basically, I began to understand that there's a whole wide world out there of limitless potential, and if you're not careful, you're unable to change and contort your ego in such a way that is conductive towards your happiness and your actual self-actualization. You'll be stuck in your shell basically forever. That's something you should avoid doing. You should always be constantly striving to be the best version of yourself. You should always be striving to acquire and accumulate as much information as you can so that you can become this best version of yourself. Especially if you're unhappy with the way that you live. You weren't put on this earth to be unhappy. It makes no sense. Why would you conform yourself to standards that go against your well-being and how you feel like you should be living? I know it's scary to go out there in the world and explore, and there's so many different types of living, but one thing that I've started to realize and acknowledge is that there is no wrong way of living unless you're unhappy. So if you're unhappy, that means that there is something wrong in your life, and there is a level of unfulfillment going on there that you can and you need to resolve. As I said, you need to acquire information about the world and about yourself. Start reading textbooks, start reading psychology books. Self-help books are so-so because what works for one person might not work for you, but knowledge on skills and concrete knowledge will get you so far, and it will give you basically tools that you can then use to expand and shape and warp your ego or yourself in the ways that will help you actualize into a fuller and more representative being of who you actually want to be. Once you acquire and accumulate knowledge and you start becoming and leveling up your character, you start understanding different concepts and worldviews, and slowly you start chipping away at your current ego until basically it's all cracked and frayed and damaged. But at that point is when the new ego will emerge. This is a new you with new concepts, new ideas, new skills, new knowledge, new experience, new wisdom of the world. This person is a lot more equipped to handle and take on this new world that you have allowed yourself to see, essentially. If you don't see it, you don't know that it's possible. So until you level yourself up, you won't be able to see the other planes of existence that are out there and that you can actually reach as a human being. There's no limits to human potential. There's no limits to how much knowledge and how much skills you can acquire and how much you can grow as an individual. If you're just continuously growing towards what makes you feel good or whatever feels right, you're living in a more aligned way with nature and how the world actually functions. Because the world actually wants you to thrive. The universe actually wants you to grow and do big things and do things that actually benefit the rest of society, because that will allow society to grow and live in a much better way. The more skills, the more you're able to give out, the more the world will actually give to you. And so the more potential you unlock within yourself, the more the world will recognize that and start giving you the tools and knowledge necessary for you to expand your potential. It's a vicious cycle of awesome. The ego is something that you can shape and warp however you want. You can actually go about it in a negative way if you're not careful and start building yourself into something that you don't actually want to be. But on the flip side, you can absolutely build yourself into whoever you want to be in this world. It is a journey. Every day is a new step. So as long as you keep taking new steps and you start doing things that you enjoy doing and that you love to learn about. My camera shut off. Now in later videos we're gonna go about how the id is actually your connection to God and to the universe and your own personal divine being. Also how limits and constraints of the superego are actually limits and constraints put on you by outside influences that you never even recognize were influences in your life, or you knew they were influences but you never knew like the underlying true intentions of these influences. Once you start digging deeper into those topics, things get real. Until then though, just know this: you are fully in control of your destiny. At any point in time you can choose to do anything that you want to do. The only thing stopping you is yourself. So stop that and start going towards your limitless potential. I swear you will not regret it. As long as you're trying and you're doing your best, you can never blame yourself. The way that you blame yourself is if you actually know you want to do something and you never walk towards it. That is the absolute worst thing that you can do for yourself as an individual, is see something that you want for yourself and not actively fight for it. In conclusion, ego death is the realization that this idea that we have of who we are is not actually who we are. It involves letting go of your past beliefs and your past preconceptions of yourself and the world, and ego death is what liberates us from the mental cage that we place ourselves in and we hold ourselves accountable to because of who we think that we are. Breaking this cage allows us to start walking and striving towards our authentic and most holy version of ourselves. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. It's something new for me. You guys remember the old backdrop? I had to switch it up real quick because I will be doing a lot more work in the studio, so I thought I should have you guys check it out. And I will do a studio tour at some moment where you guys can check out what I've been working on, new projects and all of that. So stay tuned for all of that. More videos coming on the way. I've just been remodeling, reconstructing, deconstructing. I'm always building and demolishing everything around me to make sure that it gets to the absolute peak of what I want it to be. Thank you guys for being on this journey. We got a long ways to go, but slowly we're taking it one step at a time, and I love that you guys are on this journey with me. Appreciate you so much. Please remember to like, subscribe, and comment on the video what you learned. If you have anything that you would want me to look into and research, please go ahead and link that down below. I would absolutely love it. I'm always on the search of new information, new topics to speak on, because I know my actualized self. Do you? Love you guys. Bye.